We should also mention that this show, this first ever Wrestle Kingdom show, is going to be the first American pay-per-view version. It all happened through Fight. Of course, New Japan World was launching, where you could sign up for New Japan World and it's like $8.42. But you could also order the pay-per-view on Fight, and it was $35. And I guess that was a bit of an issue with Jeff and New Japan at the time. But we know, hey, no matter how you got it, it was going to be a great show. And one of the other rumors along the way, once Mike Tennay, it feels like is not possible. There's rumors that Chael Sonnen, a guy who you called MMA with, might actually have been your partner for this Wrestle Kingdom show. Was that a suggestion from you that, hey, what if Chael did it?
Yeah, absolutely. Chael Sonnen is one of the most talented guys I've ever worked with, or been around, or friends with. We've got a great relationship now, and did then. I just thought he's a winner. He's going to make sure that he understands the product. He's going to do his research. He's a very cerebral guy, and I would have loved to have worked with him too. There's a lot of guys I'd love to have worked with on that show. Striker, I think Striker might have been, without sounding mean-spirited, he was a good selection because of, I would think, one of the main reasons, budgets. He was going to work at a more compatible rate for his payday than a lot of guys. So it was just, I never was involved in that decision. That was just that, we're going to have Striker help you. Cool. I don't care. That's good. Let's go do it.
You actually wrote, Matt Striker's my partner. Jeff Jarrett made that call. It's his money, so I'm cool with it. I worked with Striker in WWE a few times. I've been around him a lot. He's a student. He's a fan, which is important. He'll be fine, and I think we'll have a very good show. We're both approaching it as something extraordinary for our careers because it's the first time that the Japanese pay-per-view has been on pay-per-view in North America in English. I guess along the way, we should mention the other story that makes the Observer. As I understand it, in this era, Mike Tennay had a new contract with TNA where he was no longer the lead broadcaster, but he is an on-camera personality for TNA. And as the rumor goes, you called up Big and maybe Dixie Carter to pitch the idea of letting Tennay do the Tokyo Dome show. And if they would have done that, you would have plugged the TNA program.
Right.
And they turned it down. Is that report from the Observer true?
I think that's accurate. Yeah. I think it was accurate. I don't understand, the profile of TNA would have been enhanced, and Mike Tennay's well-earned reputation would have been enhanced.
Yes.
So to me, it was a win-win for everybody. Tennay gets a payday, gets some new money. He gets a chance to display his wares because he'd had all the room to talk, working with me, because I would have asking questions and brought in things that he and I could discuss during the broadcast when it was timely. But it just didn't work out. I never did understand that. To me, what was the downside of Mike Tennay working the Wrestle Kingdom show? I didn't. Apparently, there's something that I'm not aware of, even to this very day. But it just seemed like a win-win to me for Tennay to be on the call, and it would have been so much fun because he's such a professional and perfectionist, student of the game. Just doesn't even do him justice. He's more than that. So it's just one of those things, man, where a lot of what ifs in wrestling.
It's interesting to think about, how that could have been. I mean, I would have loved to have seen you and Tennay on that call. I think the issue was probably, once upon a time, that whole TNA New Japan relationship fell apart based on the treatment of Okada and a few others. But maybe there was some hurt feelings on both sides when it was all said and done. But it winds up being Matt Striker. Dave Meltzer would say it came down to Matt Striker and John Pollock of the Fight Network. Of course, we think a lot of John.
Yeah, good guy.
In New Japan Pro Wrestling. And Meltzer said that's who he hoped would be doing it. Other names that were selected or suggested along the way were Mauro Ranallo. And Dave would be sure to say that wasn't possible. There was a budget issue. Kevin Nash, who was a friend of Jeff Jarrett, and Dave would say he's not sure how seriously, and he doesn't think he would ever be a serious consideration. But John Pollock was. Did you have any? I mean, I know it's ultimately Jeff's call, but did he
Yeah.
solicit advice from you? Like, hey, what do you think? And you
Yeah.
went with Striker too?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No different than you would do a booking. Hey, we're going to do a program with you and so and so. And are you okay with it? Sure. Or no. And here's what my concerns are. Or there are no concerns. Yeah, we communicated, which was good. It got us past all that other stuff we'd previously talked about with the China scenario and that embarrassing day for all involved, including me. So, but get over it, JR, and move on. So that's what I did. I tried to do that. But John Pollock would have been a great partner because he's another guy, a student of the game, passionate. He followed the product a lot closer than I. So he would have been great. He'd have been great, even though he's not an experienced broadcaster in that arena. He was just he would have been terrific. Just like Tennay. There were a lot of talents out there that could have added to that broadcast that Stryker and I did. But like I said, Tennay's extraordinary.
Yeah.
And would have been phenomenal. Pollock didn't have quite as much sizzle because Tennay had all that TV exposure. And again, I just thought it was a great way to build a TNA brand or what they're doing or pay-per-views or what have you. You go pay-per-view to pay-per-view on your promotion. That's not a bad concept. So it's just, unfortunately, it's one of those things where it just wasn't meant to be. We sure tried. We sure tried to get that worked out, but couldn't get it done.
Well, we know that the other thing that doesn't get done, and man, this would have blown my mind. I remember reading this in the Observer and getting excited about the possibility. Dave Meltzer, I guess Jeff exchanged some emails with Dave about he could have been the potential partner. We know it winds up being Matt Stryker, and the show ultimately does between 12 and 15,000 buys here in the United States. That seems pretty damn strong when you consider once upon a time, that's where TNA was doing monthly pay-per-views. And now here you are without television.
All right.
And really just you hammering, that you're going to be on the call and a lot of fabulous matches, but with a lot of performers that were largely not household names here in America at that point. Did you consider that a success? 12 to 15,000?
Yeah, it helped. I did all the, I saw what money I was going to make. I got paid a fee.
Yeah.
And then I got paid a bonus for each pay-per-view sold. And that was one of those deals that good old Barry Bloom cut for me. And it was a good deal. We made money. We made good money. It was a good payday for us, for Barry and me. But I did, back to what you said, you talked about earlier, I did perceive it being a one-off. It's just things are so fluid, all of a sudden I figure out, well, I got a chance. There are people that are interested in me doing boxing. I did all those boxing events in Vegas, there, downtown. And it just worked out. I mean, I really enjoyed the preparation for the show. It was something new again for me. It's challenging. It wasn't going to be easy, but you wonder how your audio is going to be. Or, I was trying to talk to people about audio levels and things like that until I realized, hell, they don't speak English.
Yeah.
And my English is not great, as we all know.
And
However,
Japanese is even worse.
Japanese is not going to, that's really bad. So, yeah, it was an interesting day. If there are broadcasters of any ilk listening to our show today or watching our show on YouTube or listening to it on the wonderful ad-free networks, it was just amazing of what all we accomplished. And if they saw about our equipment, the lack of communication. I mean, the best example I can give you, Conrad, is what we've already talked about, that the formats were written in Japanese.
Yeah.
So what the hell? We were at a disadvantage. My experience took over because it was going to be up to us to make this thing work as far as the English speaking broadcast was concerned. didn't have any expectations of how many buys it was going to get because there's no track record, there was no precedent. So I wasn't counting my money before I got paid because I didn't. My big money was going to come with the. I think I made a buck pay-per-view extra. So if it did 15,000 buys, I made 15 grand extra money. But knowing, I thought that was very handsome. I thought that was a very generous scenario that Jeff agreed to with Barry. And so it just was, it was interesting to see how it all continued to come together. I remember, the flight over, I'm flying with Jeff and Karen, and there might have been others on that flight too. I think there were. So it was good. It was a good situation. So, and I always appreciate Jeff for bringing me on board.